Today on the Rosie Rose Podcast, I'm sitting down with someone whose strength goes beyond muscle. Ko Chandetka, also known as Big Lao, is a IFBB Pro bodybuilder, podcast host, and a mental health advocate. He's an award-winning bodybuilder based in Midwest, the 2014 NPC Master National Overall Bodybuilding Champion, a 2016 Mr. Olympia Classic Physique competitor, and also the only Lao IFBB Pro bodybuilder. But behind the trophies and the stage light is a story of survival, resilience, and radical transformation. Born in Laos and raised in the Midwest, carved his way into the world of competitive bodybuilding as one of the few Southeast Asian faces in the sport. But what most people didn't see was the pain, an injury that led to addiction, the spiral into darkness, and the long road to healing. In this episode, we go beyond the gym. Cole opens up about the journey behind the muscle, the win, the losses, the grief, and everything in between. What broke him, what rebuilt him, and what keeps him grounded today. So this is more than fitness. It's about finding your way back to yourself. Hey Cole, what's up? How are you?
Hey, good, good. Thank you for bringing me on the show. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for taking your time and talking to me. So take us back. Who was Cole before the muscle, before the fame? What were you carrying as a kid before growing up Lao in the Midwest?
I think I was a simple kid, just kid that just loved to play and have fun. I was very naive. And that led into my adulthood, which, led to many bad decisions and stuff. But I always saw the good in people. I had something, I think I had a smile when I was a kid. And then as I grew up, into my teen years, and like in my adulthood, that smile went away. And I'm just slowly been working on myself and recapturing that again. I'm 54 years old, so I've lost that smile for, gosh, 50 years. Um, in my book, the photo uh, for my book cover is me 4 years old in Laos, just standing outside with a big smile and just loving life. But at 4 years old is when my family is when we left because of the war, and growing up in the States, that that changed my childhood. Like it wasn't fun and happy go lucky anymore. It was kind of intense. We were made fun of, called names. I was bullied. Um, it's just it was a pretty rough childhood. I didn't have that many friends growing up, and then so let me backtrack. I came to into the United States in 1975. The first wave of laotians came in 1979, 1980. Okay, so about 5 years I had a head start on some of these kids, and I knew I was different. So it was, most kids were Caucasian in the area that Midwest that I grew up in. So I did the best I can, try to make friends and all that, and try to avoid getting bullied or picked on, and as best as I could. I was really excited when I heard my parents talk about, there's going to be a bunch of Laotians coming over overseas, and I was like, this is my chance to really, to experience my childhood, to have some friends. And unbeknownst to me, I actually got like some, what was it? Um, let's say like negativity from it, because these kids saw me and I didn't look anything like them. I didn't speak anything like them. I had no accent. I learned English right at 4 years old, so I knew a little bit of Laos, but I knew American games. I had become this, you know, Asian kid, but acted more like, kids in the Midwest. So they actually saw me as different. I mean, in a way, they kind of saw me as like, I hate to say the word, but like a sellout. I was like, you talk like them and you play with them, and we don't want nothing to do with you. So now again, like I'm 9 or 10 years old, and at four, I got rejected, and now it seems like at 9 or 10, I'm getting rejected again. So childhood was, gosh, it was crappy. It was crappy. That's another way to say it. It wasn't anything fun or interesting. Um, it was very lonely. And even though I had a big family, they all had their own issues. My older brothers and sisters, they were much older to the point where when we came to the States, they were already in high school or they were working. Towards me, I'm the youngest. I'm the youngest of seven. So somehow my parents had 1 through 6, like pretty close together. And then there was a long break from 6 to 7. So it wasn't like, I didn't have much in common with my older, siblings. And even till this day, like we're just, I'm just, they still consider me like a kid, and they're, yeah, it was hard fitting in. I would not want to go back. After all the work that I've been through, I would not want to go back to my childhood.
Yeah, I mean, you came since like 1975, and I remember like hearing when I first heard that was 1975. Um, my parents were still in Cambodia, so you were one of the early ones that came to America.
Yeah,
Because I remember the man that shot my dad. He came, I think, in around the 1980s, and he also got bullied and all that stuff. So that's where he joined or developed a gang and became, like that's where like the Asian gang formed was during that time for him because he
yeah,
felt like he belonged. And
yeah.
I'm sure that in your town there weren't a lot of Asians, so there was there any gangs back then, like Asian gangs in your area?
I mean, gang life was, typical black and white, Hispanic, but not too many Asians. And then like we came around, like I said, like in the '80s, and that's when, yeah, I don't think it was as bad as California, but here in Chicago, we had some. Again, yeah, and I get it. It's one way for them to fit in and to feel like they belong to something, even though that was, a negative. But it's I can understand why some people went down that road.
Yeah,
I don't condone it, but I can understand it.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So what drew you into bodybuilding?
Being small and being skinny and frail, and the physical abuse was like, how do I got to get stronger. So one of my cousins, he's a few years older than me. I saw him. You buy some. Actually, that's my brothers. My brothers, older brothers bought a weight set and they took it down to the basement and they started working out. And I was just kind of followed them down there one day and watched them. And I was like, huh. I was like, maybe if I got bigger, stronger, more people would kind of back off and not pick on me as much. So when they were working out, I'd sneak down there and I would just start, you know, training, like lifting, doing this and that. And I learned through books, books, magazines at that time. There's, I think Arnold Schwarzenegger had a biography out, which had training tips, in the back. And I read his story and I tried to do, try to learn, the bench presses, the squats, the sit ups, and all that. And I don't know, I took a liking to it. I liked, number one, I liked how that pump. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but that pump, but that endorphin rush that you get from working out. I like you did a set, and like wow, like I almost feel like like instantly your muscles are bigger, and all it is blood rushing to the muscle, right? So, but it's just that instant feeling of wow, and over time, and now I'm like 11 or 12. Now I'm starting to change. Right now I see like this little, like this bicep, in my arm that I never had before, and I could bounce my chest. I could bounce my chest up and down. I was like, this is pretty cool. So, but again, because I had to learn through the magazines, that's where I got it inspired by bodybuilding and then bodybuilders because it wasn't only educational, it was also like showed the competitive scene, who was Mr. Universe that year, who was Mr. America, who was Mr. Olympia, and I had physiques that just I just found wow, I want to look like these guys. So that's how bodybuilding came at about like 11 or 12.
Wow, 11 or 12, and you were self-taught.
Yeah,
So it's like the modern kids days, it's like watching YouTube and learning from that or like getting a trainer, but you were self-taught. You read magazines on how to do like the squats and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's
And,
very impressive.
and the information was limited. Like back. I mean, if I was 11 years old today, you'd have everything you want to know about bodybuilding out in the form of the internet. But back then, it was very limited.
Yeah, so who got you those magazines? Like where they show up from?
the convenience stores by my house. Me and my cousins, and we'd come hang out, and I mean, we'd play, then we'd get money and go buy ice cream or drinks and all that stuff. And I remember the first time I saw that magazine. I think it was Arnold. It was Arnold on the cover. It was him from the Conan series. I think it was Conan the Destroyer. And wow, I opened it up and I looked at it. It's like, these guys are amazing. Like, no one would mess. My thinking was no one would mess with these guys. So why not give it a shot and see?
Yeah, wow, that's so impressive. So 11 or 12, and you start developing muscle right then, like within like 12, 13 years old, or
Yeah, probably within a few months, you start seeing little changes. You start feeling you would get stronger in your lifts. The first time muscles adapt. And so like I was just putting, the more you do, and it's just like, yeah, my muscles responded really well to the stimuli, to the workouts.
yeah. And so going to school at like 13 years old, how confident were you since you're
Now, yeah, when I was 13 years old, I had that bicep where I can stand in line and people in the gym class and then you see me do pull-ups and stuff. It's like, wow, you can see like, wow, this guy's got some biceps. And believe it or not, the biceps, I still get compliments to my bicep today. Like even now, like I still have to, and like they have to be like they're probably the muscle that I worked out less than anything. The one that I really didn't give that much attention to. They're like the triceps I put on 10 times more work, but I'll still get compliments on my biceps. And biceps and triceps are opposites, right? So it's like bodybuilding is, depending on your physique, some guys have great legs, but then they don't, they suffer, or their body suffers. So everyone's built differently. Now I was fortunate to be even, like all my muscles developed equally. So I wasn't as disproportionate as some people.
yeah. So did you develop this discipline since 11 and 12 years old? And did you keep your discipline all the way till now?
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. What I knew was bodybuilding. The exercise, the training part of it. I wish had, you know, I'd been 11 in today's age. I mean, there's so much that you can learn about. Like, I didn't learn anything about the business side of it. I didn't learn anything about the politics side of it. I truly believe, and I remember having an argument with my dad. I said, Dad, if I have the best physique, they can't deny me. They can see it. It's proof. I look better, and now I see bodybuilding not as much as a sport, but as a business. And there's people that are, I don't know. It's a business, right? It's more, and the politics side of it, I didn't understand. I was very shy and quiet. I what did you say? Quiet and shy. Um, I didn't like going up to people and introduce myself. Like the judges and the promoters wanted you to go up and almost, I wasn't good at that. And I just kind of, I would go to the show. I'd go in kind of late. I sit in the back. I leave early, just so I wouldn't have to, talk to them. I didn't know. I just didn't know what to say. I was just, again, it was me and my insecurities. I was a quiet kid. I was shy. I just love to. I wanted my bodybuilding to do the talking for me, right? But I should have. I should have learned how to, communicate um, better with people. I wish I would have done that. I wish
Yeah.
I would have been like, it's just, it is what it is, But that was probably one of my struggles growing up, and I'm sure it had led into my adulthood, into my addictions and my depressions was the communication part.
The communication part. Yeah. And do you think you are a better communicator now?
I believe so. I'd like to think so.
Yeah, yeah. So, where was the line between like pushing yourself and punishing yourself?
I don't know. I was very hard on myself. It was never good enough. When I started the pushing myself was probably my teenage years. The punishing myself was now I'm going to start competing. I competed when I was 18 or 19 was my first contest. And the punishment then, like, this is where like, man, you're not good. If I took second or, and like, I'm not as good or I punished myself. It was just, and the verbal, very similar to what people would call me, like, oh, like you're worthless, you're nothing. Um, you're a piece of shit. And that was me in my bodybuilding days. That was me in the gym trying to motivate myself to push myself. So if I'm lifting 100 pounds, one workout, the next workout I had to lift, let's say 110, right? You just want to go up all the time. And that motivation came from my own head to where it's, no, you suck. And they would force me to work harder. Eventually that led to my injury, years on years down the road. But yeah, there wasn't much self love back then. It was very hard. It was just it was never good enough. And I think there's probably that muscle dysmorphia that I had also. Is like what I saw in the mirror, it was never good enough. Even though other people would be like, "Wow, wow, you look great," and I was like, I don't see it, and I got to work harder.
Wow.
Um,
So you're punishing yourself is the self-talk that you had
yeah,
mentally.
yeah, but it also came from my youth too. It's just those were the words I heard. And sometimes I heard those words from my own family that you're not good enough. And I would hear those voices, and then now I'm adding to it to you know make myself work harder in the gym.
Yeah. So, okay. So if you can go back in time, like how would you change that differently of punishing yourself? Now that you have the tools that you know now, what would you do differently?
And like knowing when to back off, like knowing when, okay, it's an hour, I'm an hour in, it's been a great workout, and I've done the work. I don't have to do an hour. I don't have to do an hour and 15 minutes. An hour is fine. It's because there's so many other aspects. So you still got 23 hours in a day for bodybuilding to eat, to recover, to sleep, to keep your stress levels down. So I would have backed off. I would have taken rest days when I needed them. Like when something hurt, I wouldn't have worked through the pain. I would have probably had gone to a doctor and figured out, okay, what's going on, and then get some medical advice on what can I do, and versus just pushing through it. So at that time, it was just pushing through it. The numbers, or 500 pounds, 600 pounds, 800 pounds, 1,000 pounds, and it became ego training up to a certain point. At that certain point, it was all ego now. It was actually doing more harm than good. And there's a professional bodybuilder, Lee Haney, in the '80s. He said, "Stimulate, but don't annihilate." That was his words.
Whoa.
And he never trained. He never trained super heavy. A lot of guys that do now, they're in wheelchairs, or they're have low back problems, have shoulder problems, knee problems, hip injury, hip surgeries, low back, neck surgeries, and you're kind of paying the price. I was fortunate to where I never got any, and I hope I never do any major surgeries. It was just like little things here and there that were nagging that, okay, with time and rest, I could recuperate and get better.
Yeah. So you said you had an injury, and did that injury lead you to addiction or?
Yeah, that was that injury, and I've talked about this before. It was a shoulder injury, and I was training for a major competition. I believe it was a national level show, and I'm hurt, and like I have 4 weeks to go, 4 or 5 weeks to go, right? And I couldn't stop. I couldn't back off. I spoke to one of the guys in the gym, fellow gym member, and he was like, "Why don't you try this? Try this." And then like of course, I gave it a try, and not knowing it was an opiate, not knowing that I not knowing that it was even addictive. It's just something I'm gonna use this for 4 weeks, just to the contest. But I used it. 4 weeks went by, the show's over, and like I'm still, now a week after the show, 2 weeks post show, and I'm still using it. And like I remember just feeling a certain way, like it was withdrawal. I didn't know what withdrawal was. Nobody explained to me withdrawal. It was just like, I don't feel good. I'm like edgy. My heart's racing. I'm irritable. That was withdrawal. And then like when I, you know, rebought it again and got some more, I felt better. So at that point, that's when I knew that, this can't be a good thing. And then every time I tried to, quit the withdrawal, it just got to me. And the fact that I couldn't ask for help. It was very secretive at that time. And it's just I couldn't ask for help. And though I wanted help, Like how do I, I'm a medical doctor or this or that. And even at that time, we're talking the late 90s, 2000s, the doctors didn't know much about painkillers. They actually said that it was non-addictive and we're okay. So it wasn't like I was one of the few, like that first wave of like, of people that, suffered from addiction and couldn't get help. Nowadays that's pretty simple. There's clinics that help with opiate, you know, withdrawal. And I was working. I was pretty well known. I was working for a major company. I can't let these guys know that this is going on, or I'm going to lose my job, or yeah. It was very so the secrets kind of made it worse. So I don't think I wanted to ask for help. I really do. It was like nobody knew, and you're the dealer wouldn't help. I was his source of income. I was one of many, and he said, "Here, just take more, dude. Take more." God. But
Wow.
at that time, yeah, and just that is there was so little known about it, and I think they said it was fine. Doctors said opiates were non-addictive, so which we find out later it's not.
Yeah. So what was the breaking point, that the moment that you realized that you had to change?
Oh, probably when my kids, like around that time when um, I think when I became a parent and my kids were born. Um, but I was to get off of opiates. I substituted with alcohol.
Mm.
So that was the tricky part too. Is now you just all you do is just changing one for the other. So in a way, I did get off of opiates, but now I'm doing something else. So and all that, kind of all that kind of came together when I, felt like I was felt like I was losing my kids. And at that point, it's like, man, I need to figure out, what I need to do here. So, and unfortunately, first place that I felt safe was AA, because I just felt like that was the first time I felt like I wasn't alone. Because keeping that secret for the longest time and not telling people you have this, and it was horrible.
Wow.
It ate away at me.
So who introduced you to AA? Like, how'd you hear about that?
Hey, I just started doing my own research on the internet.
Mhm.
And they're like AA meetings, and I was like, maybe I'll give this a try. Yeah.
Wow. So you went to the AA meetings, and then
Yep.
I was watching your documentary, the Fallen Star Rising Sun documentary that you wrote, that was out in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things where one of the AA steps was to reach out, and you reached out to your best friend and asked for forgiveness.
Oh,
Can you?
to make amends. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
back down. Yeah, making amends. Yeah, it's funny. AA isn't about people think AA and or rehab is like solves it. It actually opens up this whole like new it like just quitting. That's the first step. But then the healing process, learning about who you are. I mean, that's if you do it AA correctly and it's. I've heard people get different results with AA. Some people it didn't work for them, but there's a thing AA it works if you work it. Meaning you do have to work. You do have to follow steps. You do have to, because as an addict, we never want to admit that we have a problem, and we always feel like we is a control thing, right? The ego wants us to say, like, hey, I beat you, I can control you, when in fact it's quite the opposite. And then so that's where that surrender part goes. I think step one, and it's just you're like surrender is 1, 2, or 3. I forget. I'm haven't um looked at the steps in a while, but which isn't, it's a lot of things, happen in my life and I'm busy with stuff, but I really have thought about, yeah, just every once in a while, I need to go back and just kind of ground myself again. But yeah, it opens up all your character defects. Like, what were you, I mean, I lied because of my addiction. I stole because of my addiction. I treated people horribly. Um, with my addiction. I didn't, wasn't respectful of people or things, and I wasn't honest with myself. There's a lot that you like, and a lot of people have a hard time like looking at themselves. Like look in the mirror, as that saying. Take a look at yourself, a hard, honest look in the mirror, and then see what's wrong. And for the longest time, I couldn't see what was wrong because I saw this bodybuilder. And
Mm.
then within the bodybuilder went away, and I was like, who is this person? And I had to, yeah. But like I said, the first time I went to AA, I felt like I wasn't alone. So right away, they usually recommend getting a sponsor. So I've had numerous sponsors over the years, and you're gonna learn from everybody, right? If you go in with an open mind. But then if you're gonna fight it and not do the steps, then you're not gonna succeed.
Yeah. So what did
It's anything in life, right? You got to put in the work.
Yeah, it does. And especially looking at yourself, like who wants to look at yourself, you know? There's too much shit going on that it's easier to look outside and blame other people
Right, right,
than
right,
look
right.
at yourself. Yeah. So what did your addiction teach you about pain and escape?
Pain and escape. Well, I escaped the pain through substances, right? Through drugs and through alcohol. Um, Instead of really feeling, it taught me how to honestly feel. What are you feeling right now? What is going on? Because the moment I feel a little anxious, I'm taking a drink, right? The moment I feel a little anxious, I'm popping a pill. Versus now, it's like, okay, what are you feeling right now? What is going on in your head? What's stressing you out? And so I have a better relationship with myself nowadays and even now, I'm recovered, okay, but I still have my moments where I wake up where something doesn't feel right. My mental health, right? I suffer from anxiety and depression, and I never understood what those feelings were. Because with bodybuilding, if I got a little down, I can say, okay, I'm going to prepare for another show, and then now having that goal, having the focus, I can go and do the show, and I just push it aside to where I didn't have to start dealing with my depression and anxiety until after the competitions were gone. Because now, like, I had nothing to. I can't use the competitions. I can't use the drugs. I can't use the alcohol. I really have to sit this through and think. And that's where too I reached out to people, and I got into therapy. And again, therapy, it works if you work it, right? Some people go to one therapy session and like, hey, it's not for me. So I went through like 10 therapists before I found the right one. You got to keep, trying, and you got to be honest. Are you doing the work?
Yeah.
Are you doing the work, right? Because even as there, like me as a coach for people, I can tell you I can tell you how to eat, and I can give you the best training methods. But if you're not following the steps, if you're not putting in the work, then if um, I ask, it's you got to have a why. Your why has to be strong enough. You
Mm.
know? The why of I just want to do it so I don't get caught. That's not enough. You know,
Yeah. And so what was your why being a bodybuilder all through your life? Like what was your why?
growing up as like competing wise,
Yeah.
probably proving people wrong.
Mm.
It wasn't right. Today I love going to the gym. Today I enjoy working out. I did not have this the feeling I have now training, and like this years later after I'm retired. I enjoy to me it's therapeutic. To me it is an antidepressant. If I go to my doctor and it says I'm depressed, he'll give you a medication that says, well, try for 4 to 6 weeks before you feel anything. I can say the same for exercise. For people who are depressed, go in the gym and go every day, 3, 4 times a week for a month and a half. Come back and tell me how you feel. You know, Most of the time, I think you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
Versus the medication part. Like, oh God, I was on. And again, I had so many different psychiatrists. I was on some put me on anti-anxiety meds. They were so evil. There was like the most evil, at least with me and what I experienced, right? The withdrawal that I had with anti-anxiety meds were just it was insane.
Wow, that's crazy. I
At the
know.
end, these doctors just prescribe them here. Take one, take two. Well, take six. And then not knowing that, well, what happens? They don't tell you what happens when, okay, what happens when insurance stops paying for that? What happens when, yeah, I got a new insurance plan. I can't afford this anymore. You just quit cold turkey. And like people were doing that. People were going with that with pain pills. All of a sudden they couldn't get it anymore. And now you got to resort to what's out in the streets. And that's worse.
Whew.
Well, not people are addicted to heroin. People are addicted to whatever. People that never ever had an idea of ever using drugs as kids. Now they're addicted to, something as strong as heroin.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Ooh, and so how did you overcome like the addiction? Like you went to AA and you went to and you did therapy. What
just
else helped you?
just doing the work. My why was my kids. That changed for me, right? When I figured out my why are you doing this? Because I don't want to be dead.
Mm,
I want to be alive for my kids. Today my why is how can I be better? Just, not only a better person, but I got to be better for them.
yeah.
You know, um, so that motivates me. That gets me up. So, I go through my depression. I go through times, and with depression, anxiety, something it just hits you. Your life is going along great, and all of a sudden you just get this feeling, and it just hits you. And very few people understand it unless they have it. Right? I tell people it's like my kids don't understand it, and I tell my son it's like this. When you break an arm, you can see the cast, right? You can, someone wore a cast. Okay, this is almost like it's an indivisible injury. You really can't see it. It's just something that when people laugh at me and says, "Oh, it's on your mind, Cole." Yeah, it is on my mind. And how do I do? How do I work through it? And for someone who doesn't know how to win, they don't have the answers. So it's just working now. More therapy. I never gave up on therapy. I just I went to someone else. If I wasn't clicking with, I would go to someone else and see what someone else. And just like I said, I had probably gone through 10 different therapists in my lifetime before I found this is the person that's gets me, that understands, that works.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned about like feeling your feelings because I know like a lot of men they grow up and you're supposed to like don't cry, don't be a sissy,
Uh-huh.
like hold it
Mhm.
all in. And how did that change for you in your healing part of feeling whatever is arising for you?
Healing was hard. That opening up to my family part, like
Mm.
even when they saw like the documentary, we released it in 2019 and had a screening. A lot of my family like had no idea, you
Wow.
know, that you were going through that. Had no idea. Like my mom doesn't understand when I tell her I'm feeling this way or feeling that way. Right? It's all the most common statement you get is it's all in your head.
Mm.
But if I can go up, I can go and like what was it? What happened the other day? I was sore from workout. I needed some leave, and I borrowed a couple of her from a couple of leave from her. Like she checked on me. She would call me and check up on me like every couple hours. Are you okay? Are you okay? It's like where was this person when I was going through all my anxiety and insanity, you know. But yeah, family it's still hard. It's still some just I don't know. They don't get it. They are the majority of my family. They can I don't know how I can say this. They can drink responsibly. They're doing well. They've kept their jobs. Their relationships are intact. They have families. Have careers. I don't know. It might change when they get into the 40s and 50s and 60s. I don't know. But from what I can tell, they just know how to do it responsibly. I
Yeah.
couldn't.
Wow.
I couldn't. My ego was more is better because that could have been from when I first started working out with weights. Like just feels great, and I wanted more of it. Right? That rush, that pump that I felt. It's just I guess I can say that I'm still addicted to it. I don't think I'll ever say I'm recovered. I still I still am addicted. I just channel it through something that can be healthy, right? Like working out. If that helps me with my depression, it's good for me.
Yeah. Oh. So how long have you been sober now?
Just, I don't know, probably like since 2018, 2019. I had some, um, I think I first got sober in 2010. And,
Okay.
this is when you started, I was collecting the coins and all that stuff. And it was like, then I just, after a while, it's just like, I don't know, I didn't go as much. And then life happens. Um, and I don't know. I mean, maybe before COVID, 2018, 2019. I haven't stayed with the days. I don't have like a birthday of when I became sober because I had slips because there's a part of me that always thought, yeah, one more time, or I can handle this.
Yeah.
I can take one and I can put it back because that desire just to be normal. I wish I was normal. I wish I could drink like my family.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know how the Laotian drinks, man. They can drink.
Yeah, and then,
It's
and
a
you got to drink
chocolate
at
Hennessy.
birthday parties. You got to drink at funerals. You got to drink anytime there's a get together. You got to drink.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, and
Yeah.
sometimes there were situations where times were all right. I guess in a way I would have a shot or two. I would feel bad about it, but then I would get back to work the next day. So I've been lucky with some of my relapses. Some people relapse and they never get a second chance, and they never get another chance. So it's still scary. It's a scary thought. Like, what could this lead to?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, but I have so much pain. I've had so much pain in my life. It's like, I don't even want to. I don't even want to deal with that anymore. Yeah. I don't even want to take it. That's my why. That's my reason. I don't even want to take that risk anymore because it's been such a long road and life is so good. At this moment where I've just learned to be thankful that I'm alive. Be grateful that I just have another day to do whatever it is that I need to do. Work. I'm probably at a place where I enjoy my work. I had like first time in my life get along with my coworkers and I get along with my bosses because I used to work in the fitness industry and that was just ruthless. That was just like it was backstabbing. It was just it was very much who and all that stuff and yeah that competitiveness it just brought out the worst in people.
Mm.
So now I'm just enjoying life. I'm thankful for life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And so,
that's one thing my sponsor said to me: be thankful you have problems that money can fix.
mm,
So while we're bitching about that this phone bill or this car bill, it's like you're healthy enough. You're fine right now. You can fix it. You don't want a problem where it's like you have cancer. That'd be a problem that money won't fix the cancer or that illness, right? If you don't take care of your wellness, then get ready to take care of your illness.
wow. Yeah. Because when you talk about like being sober and sobriety, I didn't know when I first met my husband, he was an alcoholic and he was doing AA, and I didn't know anything about, uh,
Oh,
you know, uh, alcoholic or anything like that. And it was really challenging and tough in the beginning of the relationship because he relapsed. And it was like, you know,
so when you guys first met, was he sober or was he drinking when you met?
he was sober. He was sober for, I don't know, 6, 7 months. And then
So you
he
saw all the great parts then. Life was,
and then
I mean,
he relapsed, and then it was seeing him struggle. And so it was like, yeah, I didn't know what to expect.
yeah, yeah.
Uh
Did you ever go to any Al-Anons, which is a support group for spouses or family members of addicts?
at that time, no, because he was doing like AA, like back and forth. And then
Mm-hmm.
I think when we had our first child is when he like really stepped up. Um and also if he would have get his third DUI, he would have, gone to go to prison.
That's a deterrent. I mean that's a deterrent, but it's still like, yeah, it's death, jails, and
Yeah,
institutions
yeah,
your are your three.
yeah. So, but now he's been sober for I don't know how long now. And I was also drinking before, but he's the one that helped me to be like, I always complain that every time I drink, like I have a headache or like, I didn't like the drinking the afterwards. Like you wake up, I'm
Right.
thinking about like, what did I say? What did I do? And like all these guilt and shame that comes up. And I'm like, why am I doing to myself? Like, um, and he's the one that actually just like, you know what? Yeah, I shouldn't drink. Like helped me. So I've been sober for I don't know, like 3, 4 years now, and he's been
Wow.
sober for I don't know, 7, 8,
Oh,
9 years,
that's great.
something like that. Yeah. So
Great. That's
now it's
great.
like, what do you do with a couple now that both of you guys don't drink? Like we learn to have fun in other ways besides
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah. There's other things that bring you joy.
Yeah, and then also like going to like, when he comes to like my Cambodian family, they drink. So they're always offering like, "Oh, you want a shot? You want a shot? Just one, just one." They don't understand like
Uh,
you're an alcoholic and just one. So
I
I
remember.
tell my aunt like mean like no, like one doesn't but he knew like he can handle like say no and just be okay with that. But yeah, like the pressure of like society always drinking. It's like it's so normalized, like, oh, just a drink one.
I remember I was at a wedding and I was sober, and like one of my family members just almost got very upset with me, and I was just like, oh my God, like I have to leave. And I laughed and I was like, you know what? If I leave this wedding, they're drinking, they're not going to know. They're
Yeah.
not even realize that I'm gone, right? They're going to go back. As long as I'm here, it's upsetting them. So I had to remove myself from the situation, you
Yeah.
know? And then, like, the next day, like, I don't think she even remembered it. She probably didn't,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? To me, I remember it. And I was just like, the best thing I had to do was kind of remove myself from the situation. And
Yeah.
that too is like, I got to be careful of where I go and who I hang out with. It's what is that saying? Like, you're the average of the five people you hang around with most. You become that person of what the average of the five people surround yourself with. So I need to surround myself with people who are positive, right? I mean, who's just like I can't like if a friend of mine is just like complaining and bitching and whining, and like I can only say so much. I'll offer to help, but if after time, after a while, and it's just not you're not changing, then I got to remove myself because it's messing with my peace. You
Yeah.
know, I got to protect it. So sometimes it's just the art of letting go.
Yeah. And in the art of letting go it's something that is going to be happening in our lifetime. Don't matter how old you get, you're going to be practicing the art of letting go all the
Oh,
time.
death.
Yeah.
I just had my cousin. We're best friends since 9 years old, and like it's been he passed away like the last fall or last summer, and it's just like, man.
Wow. This is not the guy from the documentary, is he?
No, 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 no. This is one of my other cousins.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Wow. So if somebody is watching this right now that's like in pain and using alcohol or drugs to escape it, what would you say to them?
Go get help, and go get, and you know what? But don't do it. But it's got to be professional help. You can't like you'll get your heart broken if you go to your best friend, or if you go to a family member, or if you go to someone that's close to you, or if you go to your spouse, your wife, or your husband. Go and get professional help because there's way more information on it now, and just go to groups, start and surround yourself. There's so many support groups nowadays for everything, you know. But it has to be professional help. And if you get a therapist, one of my requirements for my therapist was, were they an alcoholic or addict? Because I wanted someone to at least walk the walk. That if they're going to tell me how to change my life, I want to know that they've been through this themselves. So yeah, but definitely professional help because your heart will break. Like mine, I just like you would ask for help and then you get shut down from your family, and then 3 months go by, 6 months go by, a year would go by. Then you develop the courage to get ask for help again. And it's this vicious cycle because you want your family member to, you want your significant other to understand. We crave that, but sometimes that's not the best. That's not the best solution because unless they've been there, they can't help.
Yeah.
And it was just fault. I was just like, yeah, I thought family would have been, you know, no, because look at all the people that go to rehabs and like, and their families are telling them to go. Like, you watch Intervention, right?
The what?
Have you watched Intervention? It's a show on, I think, I don't know, like A&E. It's a story about people who are addicts and their family members come get together. They bring in a therapist and they hold like a meeting, like an intervention,
Oh,
and say,
okay.
hey,
Yeah.
like if you don't get sober, we got to cut you out of our lives. And then some of them have happy endings, some of them relapse.
Yeah.
Like rehabs are, unfortunately, I think it's business. It's a business. So, but yeah, definitely get professional help.
Yeah. Because sometimes, like even your own family members, they don't
Yeah,
know how to support you
right.
in that way that you need support.
Especially our culture,
Yeah.
because we come from a bunch of drinkers.
Yeah. It'll be more harm actually.
Yeah, the alcoholism, the gambling, it's all addictions.
Yes.
And I don't know. It's just there's no real answer for it. I know my uncle that passed away, and he had liver disease. Liver cancer. He died doing. He never changed. He just kept on drinking in the morning until he passed away. And there's nothing anybody could say. They got to want to change. Right? Going back to me and coaching my clients, they got to really be serious about why they want to work out and why they want to lose weight. What is your why? Because if your why is superficial, you're not gonna last. It's got to really come deep within you, like internally, and it's got to mean something to you. And then you'll put in the work because the plan I give is it's like anybody can succeed. It's just I've done it. Other people have done it. They'll only succeed if they want to. And it's not like again for the person that wants to quit, they really got to want to quit. Not because they feel pressure from their family, not because their girlfriend or boyfriend is saying, "Well, I'm going to leave you," because they think sometimes people think that is enough, you know. And then they get better, and then they go back to drinking. They get better, the couples get back together, and they didn't learn anything.
Yeah. And so what kind of coach are you?
I do online coaching. I do weight loss, bodybuilding, nutrition. I kind of I put everything together. Everything that I've learned, I just kind of put together.
Mhm.
I approach nutrition the same way I approach AA, one day at a time.
Yeah.
That's all you can do. Well,
So
make the day the best day.
I love that. And so if somebody's watching here and is consider you as a coach, is that possible?
Yeah, yeah. Hit me up on my Instagram, Ko Chandetka.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave all your info on the bottom of this.
Yeah, please,
Uh,
please.
um, yeah.
You know what? And I love helping people. It's just when I was 20 years old and I was a personal trainer, looking back, I had such an ego, of like I was cocky. I was like, I was that top bodybuilder, in the country, and clients were just coming left and right, and as you get older, you're not competing anymore. And I was like, I haven't done much with my social media, which I need to start with again. But I just love helping people. I actually, I could help when I was 20 years old. I couldn't help that 50-year-old. I can help the mother that came in and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I can't make it to the gym because my kid's sick," or like, or this, I got this and that. It's like, well, you don't want it. I was I wish I wasn't like that, but I was very like, oh, okay, then probably this isn't going to work. To whereas today, I would understand because I'm a parent too, and I get okay, your parent, the kids didn't want to go into daycare, and you're late for me. It's fine. Let's make this the best session that we can in the remaining minutes that we have. I'm more empathetic, than I was when I was younger because bodybuilding was my number one, and personal training was just a way to make money while I bodybuilds. Today is I truly enjoy helping people. That's all. I mean, I can't make it. I can't like break down any simpler. If I can help someone on the street and give them a $5 bill, then I'm helping someone. It's just little things. You know, saying hi to someone in the gym. I don't know. You don't know what kind of day they're having.
Yeah.
It's just, and I think the simpler things, and my life's been simplified. They're very simple. Be thankful I'm awake, and be better than yesterday.
Mm.
Because no, it doesn't matter how yesterday was. The yesterday's done, but just be better. So if yesterday was a really crappy day, well, be better today. If yesterday was a great day, well, challenge yourself. What can I do today to be better than yesterday? And then keep doing it.
I love that. I love that. So when you leave this world, what truth or impact do you hope to remain because of you?
Like how I want the world to remember me,
Yeah.
that I was a caring person, that I genuinely cared and wanted to make, this place the better. I want to go back to Laos, and I don't know, like I want to go to Laos and once I become rich and I'm a millionaire, I love to go to Laos and I just want to travel like out into the country and how can I help these people, right? How can we build them? Can we build them schools? Can we build them medical facilities? Can we just I just want to travel around and that's always been my home. Even though I came here when I was 4 to the States, I've never really felt much of a I really haven't felt like this is much of a home for me. Home is Laos. It's my homeland.
Have
And
you been back ever since 4 years old?
what's that?
Have you been back to Laos since?
Yeah. I went back in 1990 with my mother. I was like, at that time, probably 18, 19 years old. I was just like, yeah. I didn't really, I don't know how should I put it. It's the culture shock, really, like, oh my God, like, I'm used to living in this thing. This is where we got to go to the bathroom, mom. It's just like, yeah.
You
I,
gotta
I,
walk over there and in the outhouse or
I
whatever bush or
but I've been back to Thailand a few years ago. I was just back in Thailand and Bangkok, and it's just like, I don't know. I love it over there. The only thing that sucks is the 20-hour, 24-hour plane ride from here to there. But it's just the culture, the pace, Because if I can do online coaching and can do it anywhere, then I'm gonna live on the beach. I want to live on the beach in Thailand somewhere, and
yeah,
because that's what's nice about like what we learned a lot from COVID. COVID was just like taught us to communicate virtually.
yeah,
That you can still does work.
like what we're doing right now.
If I had doctors that I could have talked to back when I was back then, oh my God. I remember the first doctor I had to go to for I was trying to get off of painkillers. I had to make an appointment with him like 30 days out. And it was like $600, $700. Okay, here's the appointment. You got to be clean for 30 days. I forced myself. I got 30 days clean. I went there and this guy's on vacation. And I'm like, and you know what? And what I did with my $600? I was so let down. I was just so like, I can't believe some guy just, like they didn't care because they didn't know. They didn't know this guy's like, he's just an addict, and I'm going to go on vacation. And I was like, well, the doctor's on vacation. I was like, I made this appointment 30 days ago. And well, I know what I'm going to do with my $600 now. Went straight to, my dealer and, you know, so professionals out there really think of what, just think of, your patients and how you can affect them, as teachers, right? I mean, I can see a doctor's count, I don't know. I don't know if a doctor teaches you anything. They just prescribe meds. But a lot of us can yeah, I just want to be, I just want to be a teacher, be known as a great teacher one day.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Wow. So, is there anything else that you want to close off with? Like whoever's listening, do you want to leave something or share anything? Is there anything else that you want to?
No, anything else you want to know about me? Because I'm an open book. I don't
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we went through a lot. We're talking about healing from you being coming to America at 4 years old, being the youngest of seven, um, having rejections, at a young age. How do you deal with rejection now?
I just let it go, right? There's where we're feeling, okay, I don't take it personally. People are, I mean, like, road rage, right? It's so common nowadays. And it's like, I used to get upset. And now it's just like, I'm never going to see this person again. I made a mistake. Sorry. Like, why would you engage in it? And it's just, and if someone, says something to you, whether it's hurtful or not, and it just, they're just words. I mean, we're taught that at a very young age, to where words, was it sticks and stones can break my bones, but words would never hurt me, and
Oh, yeah, words does hurt.
it hurt. Yeah, words hurt, but if you can understand that maybe you can't take it personally, because
Yeah.
whatever this person has gone through, you have no idea. The boss at work is being an asshole today. You don't know what's going on in his life. Give him the benefit of the doubt. You know, if you really want to, if you really want to confront it, when it's like lunchtime and it's a couple days later and you're walking in the hallways, like, hey, I just, I was really hurt the other day when you said this. And I was like, oh my God, Cole, I'm so sorry. I went through, all this was happening at home. And, I was like, deal with it that way. But, I lived my life too long negatively to, I'm going to see the best in everything, I'm going to make an effort to. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Like I'm in control of that. So it's a control thing. I'm in control of that. How I feel. So what they did, we are not in control of. But how you respond, how you react, you are in very much in control of that.
Oof, that's so good. You are
Right?
in control of how
Yeah.
we respond and react.
Yeah. How we react.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with it? If you're bullied, like what I hate are like kids that get bullied that become bullies, because that's how they responded to bullying. That breaks my heart. It breaks my heart.
Yeah, they didn't know any better.
Yeah, I wanted to be like, because I was a bodybuilder, I wanted to be the protector. If a bully, I wanted to, like, if a bully was picking on somebody, I wanted to step up for that person and defend that person. And again, like, just being alone as a kid. Like I said, I would never want anyone to go through my childhood. It was just so. It was lonely. It was just so lonely. It was just so. Mom and dad were working all the time. Brothers and sisters, they're working all the time, and I didn't have that many, friends. I had TV.
Mhm.
So TV, that's where bodybuilding came into. Watching TV and watching like the comic book, the superheroes, the Batmans, the Supermans, watching that and like, man, I love the way these guys look, and I love what they stand for. All right, I took my son to go to see a Superman movie, and they're like, I almost like cried at a scene, like it's a grown man, like, this is Superman. But I mean, I don't know, you understand. You remember Superman? He came. He had his parents from like Krypton, but he also had his Earth parents. And there was a situation where him and his Earth dad were talking, and he's just, yeah, I like balls. And I looked over at my son. Like, he gave me a hug.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I just, yeah, I saw that they did good.
Yeah,
But yeah, we are in control of how we handle our situation.
exactly. And so
Um,
I'm curious now, what is those two wrestling guys in the background there with the blue
oh,
and red pants?
Red, yeah, Red is Eddie Guerrero. Oh my God, he had an addiction problem. He passed away when he was like 35. And the other is Rey Mysterio. He's still alive. But that's it. You growing up in bodybuilding, and I'm a big wrestling, WWE, WWF, just seeing so much death. Again, Eddie Guerrero. I actually had the opportunity. They had come to Chicago. I went to the auditorium, and because of my work, we were able to go backstage, and I saw Eddie, and I wanted so much. He had a documentary that came out a year or so prior, and I remember watching it, and I remember how that helped me. It was so influential in me getting sober, and I wanted so much to tell him, thank you. The problem was, because it was secret, I was with my upper management. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, thank you, thanking them for what? And it's just like, I couldn't. One of my, I don't like to say I have regrets, but yeah, I wish I would have went up, because later that year he passed, so I never got a chance to like thank him. But yeah, that's Eddie Guerrero and that's Rey Mysterio.
Oh, okay. Nice, nice. And so oh my gosh, Ko, what an amazing story of your childhood to where you are now. And I could see still like you are ripped.
No, I just got back into training about a year and a half ago. I wasn't working out. I was just so depressed. I was just going to work, coming home, going to work, coming home. And I just told myself, just go to the gym.
Yeah.
Just go. And yeah, for anybody that is like you're dealing with addiction or anything, or you can, not only work on the recovery process, but add going to the gym to one of your, things to do, because that would actually help you recover. I think faster. I don't know if you can recover faster, but it'll give you something to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, drugs were your passion. Now make something else your passion. So I guess, like I said, I'm still an addict, in my ways. But what can I do that's going to be positive, that I can be passionate about? That is, yeah, I mean, working out 7 days a week is a little, too much, and being at a certain percentage body fat is being, and I don't go to that extreme anymore. But it's like, at least I'm doing good with it. If I'm an addict, then, I'm going to help other addicts. So you should do something good with it. Take, like take it out of your, it's just not always about you. That's other people. How can you help other people?
Yeah. I
You know?
love I love that. So if there's anybody watching and you're, struggling with addiction or depression, like, you know, go work with Ko. He'll
Yeah.
give you
Yeah.
a solution, a routine, a printout of what you need to do, and also having a support system that understands what you're going through.
Imagine,
Oh, so
imagine,
much.
imagine if 11 years old, I could have Arnold Schwarzenegger
Oh my
walk
gosh.
me through like this here. He's in Australia, or here like Austria or Germany, and I'm talking to him every day. He's telling me how to, like, gosh, it was all figure it out yourself
Yeah.
back then. It was trial and error,
Hmm.
you know. And then, like I said, even the addiction party had to become a secret because it was just like, it was looked down upon.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I tell my clients, look, I'm here for you. And it's just, but you gotta want it, because that's the main thing that I see in the ones that succeed and the ones that fail. The
Hmm.
ones that succeed are the ones, they're just more, their why is so powerful that they're just doing the work, and they're seeing the change. They're not making excuses. They're not blaming other people. They're not complaining of this or that. I mean, nutrition aspect, I tell people food is fuel. You just change the way you see food. Because, like, for the past however many years, 30, 40 years that an adult has been alive, you've had enough ice cream and pizza and burgers and shakes. You've had enough. Your body can heal if you just give it the right substances, give it the right food. So if you see food as fuel, then you're gonna stop making that connection of comfort, right? I mean, Laotians, Asians, food is comfort. Food, drink, and music, gambling, comfort. It's all
Yeah.
comfort. And I was like, when you use working out as a comfort, use working out as an escape, use exercise, just go walk. Go walk, start with walking. If you don't want to do weights, ride the bike. If go hiking if you don't want to do weights. But you just do something every day. The man that walks for 10 minutes every day is gonna go further than the man that embarks on a fancy routine and gives up in 30 days.
Yes.
It's all about consistency.
Mhm.
But to have someone support you, I think that's huge.
That is the huge part.
Yeah.
That's the huge.
The knowledge, anybody, if you want to lose weight, knowledge is there. You can find it, right? You do research, knowledge, how
Yeah.
to lose weight. Having that person walk with you on a daily basis, encourage you, understand you, this is all we would ever want.
Yeah.
I had my parents, gosh, especially my mom, like, she didn't believe in me. And that was hard. So now I had to work even harder to prove them wrong. 100 pounds, not enough. 110 pounds, 120 pounds, 150 pounds, because it was never enough.
Mm.
And hearing her voice, you're nothing, or you're going to amount to nothing. And man, to have someone support you, just walk with you, I think that's I think that's what sets coaches apart, because the information is there. Anybody can, like,
Yeah.
I did it. I at 11 years old. Now, at that time, me being 11, I didn't have a job or anything. It's just like I went, like, I had time to work out. I think with any athlete, they all got to start at a young age. Do you hear about that Chinese swimmer that was 12 years old? She won the world record or something, and she won a world championships at 12 from China.
Wow. That's
They started young
incredible.
now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
but we can change our body, and the body's an amazing thing. what you've put yourself through in the last 40 years, what you can do in a year, God, that's a great deal. You know, well,
Yeah.
you can only takes 1 year to really totally change, and
Yeah.
change your attitude, your life, everything.
And it's never too late. If you're 40
Yep.
or 50, it's never too late.
No.
Get support. Get support.
Yeah.
Find yourself and hit. This is Ko, guys. And where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram at Ko Chandetka, and Facebook is also Ko Chandetka as well. But I mostly check my Instagram. Yeah, just find me on Ko Chandetka.
All right. All right. So if you guys looking for a coach or support, he's the man for you. Well, thank you so much, Ko, for coming on and sharing your story. Like this was such a powerful journey that you have, and I know this uh, episode here is going to be so powerful and healing for somebody that's like struggling. Or,
I sure hope so.
oh my gosh, so many gems in here.
Oh, I wanted to ask you one thing. As I was watching our podcast last week when you came on. What is your Cambodian name? That when you wrote, you said a different name. What
Me,
was it?
me own.
Me own. So is that your real Cambodian name, like your nickname?
No, that's like my name that like my aunt and uncle and my mom call me, me own, like my brothers and stuff. So it's like
So
me own is like,
was your Cambodian name?
yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
it means like me own, like the younger one or the little one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We have nicknames based on like on youngest, on appearance.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
have a nickname for skinny. We have a nickname for fat. We have a nickname for short.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Because my brothers are twin, and one of them is called Amap. Amap means the chubbier one or the fat
Oh,
one.
okay. Okay. Yeah, we have that. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have like in Laotian it's stui. It's like you do not want to be called that. But they give it to you like when you're born. Like they give it to you when you're a baby.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why it's not like you're 10 years old and they're gonna call you fat. They've been calling you fat since you're a baby.
yeah, yeah.
But
That's do you
that's
what is your Lao nickname?
it's Go. It's Go.
Oh, just Ko. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Go. Yeah.
yeah.
But I use like there's a G in it. The dialect is Go.
Oh,
But Ko.
oh,
And American dialect is Ko.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
just coming on, and
Anytime.
I'm so excited for other people to hear this.
Ah,
You're gonna make a big impact.
oh,
You are making an impact already. So
I mean, again, that means so much. I've been going through. It's the last few years have been like very challenging, but I got over it from going to the gym. It is as simple as that. Is just go to the gym.
yeah.
You
So
know,
whatever you're doing right now, go to the gym,
the
go
gym.
hiking, go for a walk, do something, move your body.
Well, we're always searching for that rush, right? And working out, running, bicycling, it's a rush. It's gosh, can I say the word high? It's a high.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do the other stuff that, this is, yeah, there's no need to do, you know, the drugs, unless it's a society's pressures that you can't, that you struggle with, and that's where letting go comes in. Maybe you need to rethink your life and let go of some of these people. And unfortunately, it could be their significant other. I think there's so many, cases where there's just one person that's holding them back. God, I don't know if I can. Okay, can I share this? I want to share this, and I had a client that was doing so well, but then like as she started doing well, the significant other started giving her crap and making her feel like gaslighting her. It's like, you're gonna leave me, and then like she stopped with me, and that broke my heart. I was like, you're doing so well, and like you're just gonna listen to your significant other. And I was like, what type of suits? And they're out there, and it's just it is just so sad, that she had to listen to what he had to say.
Oh, I
Um,
I know some people like that. So that's tough.
yeah, about the art of letting go.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's so
if you
true.
can figure that out, boy, it's powerful.
The art of letting go, and it's a practice. It's a practice of life. And also know your why. Why are you doing
Know
this?
your why. The
Why
art of
gotta
letting
be
go.
powerful?
Choose you. Choose you.
Yeah.
Right? Choose yourself. I wish schools would have taught this like as a kid growing up instead of all the chemistry and biology. Like I wish there would have been classes on self love and just
Yeah, they do not teach that.
confidence,
Yeah.
esteem. I wish there were like I don't know. Maybe I can create a little school where they will, I don't know, create a school system in Laos that would have these like ideas in growing up.
Or maybe you could be like a speaker at the high school and teaching them about self-love and confidence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, I mean, imagine if we had schools on that. You know,
Oh my God, it would be a whole different culture. We'll be bringing up
on
better
how to communicate with. There's a class on communications, right? How to talk.
communication is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
communication, self love. We don't learn any of that.
Yeah.
This is silly. It sounds silly, but I was a great bodybuilder because I hated myself. That's horrible. It's
That's
horrible.
crazy.
That's just like that was. That's terrible. No one should become great at anything, and you're thinking like that, right? And yeah. Yeah, maybe I can create a school system where like more of these ideas I teach versus your traditional math. I don't know, math and science and gym. Like have make it required where there's got to be a course on self love. There's got to be a course on healing, a course on letting go, a course on whatever. Asking for help.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess like we didn't learn that at school, but then after school is that's where we learn about it.
Right, and
Like,
our parents didn't help us that much either.
no, no.
But yeah, and I resented my parents for a long time, but it was just I had to understand what were they going through at that age, right? They were in their 20s and had a family and gave up everything. My dad was a colonel in the army. He had a great life. He gave up all that to start all over. So I understand now. At that time, I didn't. As a kid, and I just, you know,
Yeah. Wow. What a journey that you have.
hopefully I can continue and keep sharing. That's all I
Doing
want.
it. You're
You know,
doing it.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Cole. Well, thank you so much. And you guys, I'll leave all his information down on below. Hit him up if you guys have any questions or want to get to know more about his coaching programs. Hit him up on Instagram. But I'll
Yeah.
leave all the info there. So thank you so much, Cole, and we'll talk again later.
All right, Rose. Thank you for having me on.
Thank
It's
you.
been my pleasure.